Hello everyone! I'm excited to introduce another model from this young and ambitious Chinese brand. Unlike the previous two, this one doesn't have a numerical name, but just a letter. Meet the Zeekr X electric car from the Geely Group. You are watching the VOLTauto channel. Glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. Let's go! I'll start this episode by mentioning that the Geely holding group comprises 13 car brands, fully or partially owned by the Chinese automotive giant. I'm sure that the average car enthusiast can't even name a half of the brands from this list, including Geely, Lynk & Go, Geometry, Proton, Radar, Volvo, Polestar, Lotus, Smart, Farizon, Livand, LEVC, and of course the young brand Zeekr. In May of this year, Zeekr celebrated the production of its 100,000th electric car, achieving the milestone in just 548 days since the launch of its first model, the electric liftback 001. The 100,000th model turned out to be the Zeekr 009, a minivan. Before this event, the brand announced its third model, which didn't receive a numerical name like Zeekr 003, but has a letter index and an official name, Zeekr X. This model aims to strengthen the brand's position both in local and international markets. It has been announced that it will be officially offered to Europeans for around 45 to 60,000 euros, with deliveries starting this fall. According to the manufacturer, the new model competes in a compact crossover segment. Of course, some might argue it's more of an electric hatchback, and they wouldn't be wrong. However, the company considers this model a crossover. Take note of the 41 LED daytime running lights and frameless side mirrors. The fifth door has two glass panels, with the upper one almost horizontal, extending the roof. As expected, the Zeekr X is built on the modular platform Sustainable Experience architecture, which serves as a foundation for most models within the Geely automotive group, including the Zeekr brand. The dimensions of the electric crossover are 4.45 meters in length, 1.83 meters in width, and 1.57 meters in height, with a wheelbase of 2.75 meters and a ground clearance of 19 centimeters. The Zeekr X offers both front-wheel and all-wheel drive options, with motors similar to those in Smart No. 1 or the Smart No. 3, which I'll talk about in the next review. These vehicles share not only the architecture and motors with the Zeekr X, but also the same batteries produced by VREMT, a company within the Geely conglomerate. You have probably noticed that there are no traditional door handles or even pop-out handles. The doors open with the press of buttons located at the lower part of the front doors and the upper right part of the rear doors. As it is an electric car, it comes with a front trunk. However, due to being an all-wheel drive model with front motor, the trunk space might be somewhat limited. In the single-motor version, the car is equipped with a 200 kW or 272 horsepower electric motor located on the rear axle, capable of accelerating the model from 0 to 100 km per hour in 5.8 seconds. The all-wheel drive version, as expected, features two electric motors with the total output of 315 kilowatts or 428 horsepower and accelerates from 0 to 100 km per hour in 3.7 seconds. Similar electric motors are found in the other two models of this brand, such as the Zeekr 009 electric minivan or the first model, the Zeekr 001 electric car. The Zeekr 001 in particular has a special modification with 4 electric motors, but I'll tell you more about that later. Both versions of the Zeekr X are equipped with a single NMC battery with a capacity of 66 kWh. The rear-wheel drive model has a range of 560 km on a single charge, while the all-wheel drive model can go up to 520 km. These calculations were made according to the CLTC cycle. The battery can be charged from AC stations with a power of up to 22 kilowatts and DC stations with a power of up to 150 kilowatts. The crossover also has a power sharing function, allowing it to power household electronics or devices like an electric kettle, making it suitable for outdoor activities. Before we move on to the interior, I thought you might be interested in a brief overview of two other vehicles from this young but highly technological brand. The first was the Zeekr 001 electric liftback, and the second was the Zeekr 009 electric minivan. The first model, the Zeekr 001, received an update this year, primarily focusing on extending its range. Since the beginning of 2023, a single-motor version with an increased battery capacity of 140 kWh has been introduced. With one charge, this Zeekr 001 can travel 1,032 km according to the CLTC calculation cycle. This model has one electric motor on the rear axle with the power of 200 kW or 272 horsepower. In early autumn, the Zeekr brand presented the Zeekr 001 FR Performance EV. As you might understand, this is a sporty, even racing version of the first model, the Zeekr 001 Liftback. Besides the FR prefix, the model has an unofficial name in Chinese, which translates to Roads of the Future. After the official presentation of this car, the Lotus Eletre R crossover with a total power of 918 horsepower from electric motors is no longer the most powerful electric vehicle among the brands within the Geely group. And all of this is thanks to the fact that the Zeekr 001 model, which already had two electric motors, received two additional ones, making it a total of four, one for each wheel. The front motors have a power of 155 kW or 211 horsepower, while the rear ones have 310 kW or 421.5 horsepower. The rear motors use carbon fiber for the rotor winding. The total power of the car is 1,265 horsepower and the torque is 1,280 Nm. The second model of this young brand is the Zeekr 009 electric minivan. I'll note that this electric vehicle was completely developed from scratch and entered test production in the second half of 2022. The car has the following dimensions: length 5.21 meters, width is 2.02 meters and height is 1.85 meters. The wheelbase is 3.20 meters. The interior accommodates 6 people with 3 rows of 2 seats each. Despite its impressive size and large windshield, the Model 009 achieves an aerodynamic resistance coefficient of 0.27, which is quite good for a minivan. This car can be equipped with either a single electric motor with a power of 200 kW or 2 electric motors with a total power output of 400 kW or 544 horsepower. You can also choose a battery with a capacity of 116 or 140 kWh. The range on a single charge is 702 km or 822 km respectively, according to the CLTC calculation cycle. Interestingly, Zeekr is already preparing the fourth model for the market. Once again, like the first two, it has received a numerical index, so the electric sedan with the number 007 will be released. The interior is designed in a minimalist style, featuring 2 screens and a minimal number of buttons. I should mention that there are versions where the central screen can be moved from the center of the cabin to the front passenger. Unfortunately, we are not in such a car right now. There are no complaints about the door panels. Everything is done neatly and tastefully. The large chrome rectangles at the edge of the door serve as buttons for opening or closing. There are no traditional door handles, instead there are these chromed rectangles. On the steering wheel you will notice a row of touch buttons lying below the center. Additionally, there are 2 joysticks. The 9-inch diagonal instrument panel screen is clearly visible beneath the upper part of the rim, and there is also a heads-up display. The central screen extends by 16 inches and the illumination line stretches along the entire front panel length. Even the base configurations come with the power-adjustable front seats. This model can have either a 4 or 5 seat configuration, and the one we have here is the 5-seater version. As you can see, the central tunnel in this car is not connected to the front panel. However, there is a very technological organizer between the seats. One of the options in the cabin is a special seat with a recliner for the front passenger. With a single button press, it can recline to an almost horizontal position. However, there shouldn't be a passenger on the rear bench during the recline, as the lower right half of the rear bench automatically rises. Sitting in the rear row, you'll immediately notice the panoramic roof. In general, the second row is designed for 2, but if desired, 3 people can sit for a short trip. On the rear bench, besides the foldable armrest, there are no other features in this modification. The armrest is simple with only 2 built-in cup holders. In a more advanced configuration, the armrest may have a 2-door compartment, but without cup holders. The trunk release button is located right below the illuminated Zeekr logo on the tailgate. The small button doesn't stand out, and that's a good thing. The door opens and closes automatically after pressing the button. Of course, the tailgate has an electric drive, and under the floor cover we see a 2-level compartment. The fact that this is a technological car is indicated by the touch button on the panel that covers the charging ports. They are located on the left rear fender. Since this electric car is from China, it is equipped with charging ports of the local type. The panel lowers and raises automatically. Behind it we see on the right a slow charging port of the GB/T AC standard for alternating current. You can charge the electric car through it, for example from a household socket. Next to it, on the left, there is a fast charging port of the GB/T DC standard. Through it, you can recharge the battery at stations with direct current. By the way, the charging station networks in Ukraine are not standing still. They are adapting to the rapidly growing number of electric cars from China and installing an increasing number of terminals with charging ports specifically of the GB/T standard. I hope that after this review, you are eager to swap your internal combustion engine hatchback for the Zeekr X electric car. And that's it from us until the next electric car review on our channel.